What's up, everybody? Today's video is going to be on my PRS 24. This is a 2022 model. I've had this guitar right at about 1 year. I picked this guitar up at my local guitar shop. I seen it on Facebook where they posted it, and I went in there that evening and checked it out and ended up actually getting it the next day. This color on the paint job is an Ariza Verde Black Burst. It is a custom color. You can't just run out and grab this at Sweetwater, Musician's Friend, or whatever. My buddy that works at this guitar shop is actually friends with a dude that works at PRS. And they called him up and said, hey, do you want us to send you some of these PRSs, got custom color, this and that? And they basically always say, yes, send them, man. We can definitely sell these. They're awesome. People love them. They can sell them like hotcakes, basically. But this guitar has the bolt-on neck, as you know. If you're watching this video, you probably know. It has the 25-inch scale with a 10-inch radius. That 25-inch, as you know, too, probably falls right in the middle of the Fender Strat and the Gibson Les Paul. This guitar has the locking tuners that turn on the front. They're PRS brand. They don't have the big wheel things like on the back, like the Spurzels, some of the other locking tuners and stuff. But the neck is their pattern thin neck, which feels, it's kind of thin, but it's not necessarily the thinnest neck I've ever felt. I mean, it feels good in the hand. It feels a lot like a Strat overall, but it's its own beast. It's definitely, it's not quite like anything that I've ever played. This is actually my first PRS that I've ever owned. I've wanted one my whole life, basically, but one wild thing I think about it almost every time I pick it up is the fact that the neck, I can compare, this neck feels like an SG, a Gibson SG, in the way that where the neck attaches to the body so high up here. That's something I'd never really heard no one talk about in videos or thought about it much. But this guitar, I don't know if it's just because the 24 frets or this or that, but if I grab this guitar after having done played my Telly or something, like with the Telly and a lot of other guitars, unless you're like on a shred, like an Ibanez or something like a Jackson is, like kind of designed for shredding or something. A lot of the guitars, once your hand's up there around that 15, 17 fret, you're kind of you're up in the cutaway basically. But this guitar, I find myself always feeling like the neck is like pushed up this way. And it doesn't have any neck dive, anything like that, like a SG. It's perfectly balanced. It feels great. I mean, it has the belly carve and everything like that. The balance is good on it. It feels great. But it's very extremely easy to get to all the notes very easily. Now, I personally play this guitar at church. And I love this guitar, especially the sustain on it. To me, it basically has more sustain than about any other guitar I own. That's my favorite thing about this guitar. Now, back when I was in a metal band as a teenager, we played like death, kind of thrash, speed metal, prog, whatever you want to call it. But I would have loved to have this guitar because on humbucker mode too, it really cuts, and is definitely capable of having that metal tone that I always chased after, which was like a cutting, kind of like a sharp razor almost when you hit those chords. It's not grainy or gained up fuzzy. It's that tube almost like pops the air, like it's like a pop, and it's cut. It's sharp, and this guitar can definitely do that. It has very clear and clean, you can hear the strings, each string, they ring out really good, and it's just a clear, and part of that is, where like Rhett Scholl and people, talk about this guitar being kind of lifeless, soulless. It's just, to me, it's sterile, but in a good way. It's clean. I mean, it's just what you want a guitar to be. You don't have to fight this thing. It's just comes set up perfectly, and and it sounds great, and is definitely very versatile. Just like, everyone talks about these guitars. I always ask, can this guitar be an all-in-one, do it all guitar where you can, do the coil tapping with those pickups? Which, by the way, these are the 85 15s. They got the push pull knob here to do the coil tapping, to turn them into like a single coil. At the beginning of the video, that's what I was playing on, that coil tap, that single coil bridge. But this guitar is very capable of doing a very wide range of things. It can definitely get very stratty, but it can do the humbucker, Les Paul thing too. It's not really a Les Paul, and it's not really a Strat, but it has an extremely wide color palette, if you know what I mean. Like, it is definitely capable of covering a whole lot of ground. And a lot of people joke about these guitars being the doctor's or lawyer's guitar, but you can pick so many different, tiers of levels of this guitar up, and all their guitars. They have the SE models, they have the stuff, real affordable range, all the way up to the way high dollar stuff. And they're all everyone I've picked up is extremely well built and well made, and you can tell it's one of those guitars when you put it in your hands. It's really, they really put a lot of effort into making these things perfect. Let me jam you a little bit of metal here. Let's see, like some more high gain stuff. I'm just gonna click on this Rat pedal here. I'm just playing through a Vox AC15, and I'm gonna click into that humbucker mode on that bridge, so you can just see a little bit of what it can do. The tremolo on it, the whammy bars, I've always called them since I was a kid. This thing, the whole system, it stays in tune extremely well for not having a locking nut, not being like a Floyd Rose style deal. I've never had any trouble out of that tremolo, but I'm not flying the thing around like Steve Vai either with it. I mean, it's not going to do the dime bag, the crazy, those tricks where you hit them, the real wild dive bombs and stuff. It's probably gonna go out of tune if you're trying to do that stuff with it. But overall, this guitar has been definitely worth it to me for this last year playing it. I definitely have no regrets of getting this guitar. It's awesome. Actually, the week after I bought it, the thing went up like $200 or $300 on the MSRP, like immediately after. But I think it's an extreme value. But you have to decide that for yourself. You need to pick them up and bond with them basically to see what's right for you. These guitars are not really for everyone. A lot of people, they don't really care for them. But I think they're awesome, and I'll compare any guitars to like a tool. You're going to go do a job, and there's different tools for different jobs, and this guitar does its job extremely well, which, it's kind of like a jack of all trades. It does it all, but that's for you to decide, is it really worth it or not. My first PRS I actually ever grabbed and played was one of the McCarty styles, like the Les Paul style McCartys back probably 20 years ago. And my old guitar teacher, he'd always say, just if you're going to get that guitar, just get the Les Paul, man. But even as a teenager, when I would pick a PRS up in the store, I knew you could just tell the way the necks felt. you know, you could tell there was no dead frets on them. I mean, I'm talking 20 years ago. I didn't even hardly know anything about PRS. I just knew they were nice. And one of the bands that we used to jam with, one of the first to actually, you know, a guy that I knew that ever actually owned a PRS and played it, he had that old Good Charlotte one, the Benji one, I guess. I don't know which dude in Good Charlotte actually played it or whatever, but it was that flat black, and it had the birds were like a neon kind of glow in the dark green. It looked really cool. But I just always kind of thought of PRSs as like the Santana guitar. As a kid, that was just, oh, that's what Santana plays. You know, that's him. But then as like the early 2000s, you know, you start seeing it more in like the, you know, Three Doors Down, and that kind of Alter Bridge, you know, Tremonti, them guys started really, really making them popular. And they're really, really great guitars. And as far as I'm concerned, they have definitely, Mr. Paul Reed Smith has carved out a spot with the greats as far as Fenders, the Gibsons, and stuff. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these are right up there with them, and they're their own beast, definitely. Well, anyways, that is my 1-year review on the PRS CE24. Check out my channel some more if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, and you know, pedals. I might make some more about some pedals and different stuff here coming up. But check it out, man. Thanks.